If someone goes out with us one time, they see the issue differently for the rest of their lives. If they have one conversation with one unhoused person, they will never again say the same misconceptions, the same myths, the same false things about, oh, homeless people are all lazy, or they're all all that sort of thing that you hear. They realize, oh no, these are people who were all failing. And I think that's incredibly powerful. And it's one of the things I love the most about SELAH.
The more you meet and talk to people, the more you find that they're absolutely no different than any of your friends, your parents. They're our neighbors. They're just our neighbors who, for a variety of reasons, find themselves with no place to live. And once you see them not as people on the street with grocery carts, but as your neighbors who have fallen on hard times, I don't know how you could not want to help them in some way. SELAH is an all-volunteer organization building community with our unhoused neighbors through engagement, through food, through case management, which we usually offer on site back in pre-COVID days.
Once again, if you can, when you're handing out the bags, if you can, to your best of your ability, just like try to keep that distance. If you feel comfortable like setting it down and letting someone pick it up, just be open with them and explain to them, we're doing this out of just safety precautions during this time. Make sure you're wearing gloves, make sure you're wearing a mask. Adam and Lauren are going to Los Feliz.
So we'll start at Myra as usual and do the normal thing? Yeah. Okay, great. We're at an engagement. I'm Adam, this is Lauren up here. On engagement, we just bring food, water, hygiene kits to folks who are unhoused, and we check in on them. We say, how are you doing today? We ask if they're feeling well, to see if maybe they're suffering from any COVID symptoms. We ask if we can help them get ID or anything like that, because we provide those services back at the church. We just sort of try to create community and say hello and try to learn folks' names and build relationships that, that's the long game part of it, but it's kind of the most important part. How's it going, Robert? Yeah, it's too hot out. Are you feeling okay today? Yeah? Taking it easy, you're not feeling sick or anything, right? Okay, that's good. You want a hygiene kit as well, sir? Okay, great, we'll get you one. If you go to the Silver Lake Community Church today, we've got showers, we have someone who can help you get your stimulus check, and we got free clothes and stuff like that.
It's so much more helpful when a caseworker knows that they're going to be here every Saturday or they're going to be here every Wednesday.
SELAH came here to the church looking for space to help host the 2019 homeless count. And it was right at that time that I was becoming the pastor of the church here and was learning about what our church was going to be about. And we both got excited about the potential for using the church's campus, not just for hosting the upcoming homeless count, but potentially also for hosting some of the events that SELAH was doing.
I'm glad that we were able to pivot so fast, and now we've become a food distribution program, as you can see. We started off with 25 boxes every week, going out to encampments along the river, and now we're up to 100, and people are asking for more. And I hope someday we don't have to do this and we can go back to normal, but what is normal? As much as I hate everything that has happened this year, it's really starting a lot of discussions as for why the system wasn't working for a good number of people and why we can't go back to normal.
We were giving out food and stuff, and there was a woman sitting on that little concrete, wall there, and she was not obviously homeless. So we said, okay, hey, do you want some food? And she said, yes, I've been homeless 5 days. She had been evicted from her home and had been on the street 5 days, was not sleeping in a tent, had none of the equipment that folks who have been out for a while sort of get. She was just sleeping in the clothes that she had been evicted with no possessions, just in the park or on this thing. And she was 67 years old. And it was really heartbreaking, and luckily the folks from SELAH I was with knew who to call. The next day she literally slept right there overnight, and then 9 a.m. the next day we picked her up and brought her there, and now she has a case manager at the People Concern. And it makes me think of how many people there are around this city who nobody just goes up and talks to and finds that out about. Instead, we're spending all of our money on police who are not equipped or trained to handle that situation. Imagine if we spent all that money on social workers who just walked around and said, oh, this person seems to be in some distress. Do you need anything? And could find those people, you know.
And regardless of what you believe as far as morality and God and all that kind of stuff, we can at least probably both agree that a lot of these people need help. And as much as we would like to think that they're getting a lot of help in other places, what I've experienced since I've come to this area is they really aren't. Or better said, there are so many folks on the street now that even though they're getting help in other places, they're not in our area getting the help that they need. And I think you would probably agree with me that we can't just continue to push those people to some other part of the city, because now there's 45,000 of them and they just are getting shuffled around to all of our neighborhoods.
This spot right here is a construction site. There's been an encampment here for about the last year or so consistently, which had at least a little bit of stability. We'd see the same folks there every time. This is the first week they haven't been there because now there's a huge scaffolding here. That's sort of the situation when we do engagement, is that we're trying to make relationships as people are still forced to move around by construction or by the police or often by harassment. And so, you know, you realize that like these encampments are like the most temporary structures, and like one of the things that unhoused folks have is they don't have even the most basic level of stability. And so a lot of times we find ourselves trying to like defend encampments. Like I try to explain to my friends, no, like we need, like encampments are like at least some amount of stability that people have, as opposed to being, you know, this daily hell of just trying to find a stoop to sleep in. Like they're unsightly and they're dangerous and they're, you know, we'd rather not have people have to stay in them, but like, you know, the amount of precarity that people have to face on a daily basis is like really, really rough. You want some food, sir?
Yes, sir.
What was your name again?
Brent.
Brent, good to meet you again.
In the corner of your eye. I'm 61 years old and I work as a law clerk. I was 10 years a law clerk for a judge. Since then, I've had probably about 6 interviews, but when they see that I'm 61, they ask me if how long I'm going to work, and I tell them 9 years. I can give them 9 years till I'm 70, but it doesn't work. It's hard to compete at 61. So therefore, I lost my apartment. Then I came out on the streets. I did not plan for this. I recycle during the day, and I do have a couple of clients that I provide document assistance for. It's a struggle to get back out of this position because most of us were a paycheck away from here, and then it's tough to, when you're out here, to put together the money for a deposit and all those other things. When the COVID-19 went out, all the restrooms closed. So it took all of our ability to wash our hands, the things they ask us to do, and dignity to go to the bathroom. It's really difficult.
Yeah, I just showed up on that day, went out, and I was nervous about it. Nervous about the prospect of going and talking to folks on the street and what might happen, but it was really kind of straightforward, and it wasn't as hard as you expected, you know? You just go up and say, hi, hey, how you doing? You want a bottle of water? People say yes. You say, hey, how are you today? I'm having a rough day. Or they say, oh, things are all right, and you talk to them for a little bit, and then you go on to the next spot, and you do that a couple times in a row. You get to know folks' names, you get to know them, and then you know, they're a part of your community, and you actually know them now.
Everyone has a purpose, and the best thing to do is get to know what local organizations are in your area so you can volunteer with them. If volunteering is not your thing, there are so many other ways you can help our unhoused community, either by advocating through policy or by donating or to volunteer to make the community a better place for everyone.
I'm doing this because I couldn't stand to not be doing anything anymore. You know, I would walk down the street and I would see you know, the same person at the same bus stop every single day. You know, it's very clear how much people are suffering. And I felt like that barrier, you know, where I felt like I couldn't speak to those folks. I didn't know what to do, and I was unhappy about that. Just on social media, I saw SELAH, and they say, hey, we go out in the community, we hand out bottled water, and we say hi, and we talk to the folks in our community. And I thought, I want to do that, just because I'm sick of that barrier being there. And you know, this is the humanitarian crisis that's right in front of us. You know, you can read about, you know, malaria in Africa all you want, and that's a big crisis too. But this is the one that I saw on my commute to work every day, and I was not comfortable with allowing it to continue without me doing anything about it. And SELAH gives me a way to do that.
We know our neighbors. We go to 7-Eleven, we know the dude in front of 7-Eleven, we get to talk to him, we get to know him. Who better than to help neighbors but other neighbors?
Everyone should have a roof over their heads, and we take for granted the luxuries that we have, like having a bathroom, having a shower, and to think that there are people that don't have these simple needs is just crazy to me. No one should be hungry, no one should be unhoused, and so this is why I'm so passionate about helping and advocating our folks out on the streets, because we need more housing, we need more protection for our people, because you can't be a part of like a community without helping everyone. So this is why I do what I do.